Hey guys, it's Patrick from Oztech Sparks, and today I'm going to talk about the 5 main things your switchboard needs to keep your home and your workplace safe. Just before I get started, we're going to go through a bit of a disclaimer. Every household in New South Wales is legally obliged to keep their household safe, and a big part of that, of course, is the electrical aspect of it. The same goes for business owners. They're responsible for the electrical safety of their employees and everyone else on the premises. So number 1 of the 5 main things your switchboard needs is to have a circuit breaker as a main switch. Back in the old days, your main switch on a switchboard looked like this. There was no safety element to it, there was no overload protection, there was no short circuit protection, and the switch itself literally only acted as an isolator. So it would be there just to turn off and on your electricity. Whether you have 3-phase wiring or single-phase wiring, every main switch has to be a circuit breaker. The main objective of a circuit breaker is to have overload protection and short circuit protection. Essentially, the amp rating in your circuit breaker is in reference to the cable size of your incoming consumer mains, and what they are is the main cabling powering up your house or your office. Each cable is rated at a different amount of load that it can withstand depending on the size of the cable. Making sure that your main switch at the switchboard is a circuit breaker ensures that in case of any overload current from all the other circuits combined, your incoming cable will not melt or be damaged, giving its protection on an overload. If a circuit breaker does pick up on any overload coming through the unit, it will automatically shut off, providing the protection needed for that cable. Just a heads up guys, this is what a circuit breaker looks like, and this is what your main switch should look like given the current rating. This is what a circuit breaker does not look like. This is what the old main switches used to be. This does not have any overload and short circuit protection. This does have overload and short circuit protection. Number 2, RCDs, RCBOs, and safety switches. An RCD or a safety switch is the protection device in your switchboard that's designed to save lives and is designed to shut off before any electrocution or bodily harm can be done. They must be installed in your switchboard, protecting all your circuits, and a safety switch will pick up on any earth leakage current that runs through any of your switchboard circuits, i.e. electricity that has gotten in contact with something it shouldn't. If I stick my fork into a power point, that protection device is designed to shut off within 0.3 of a second, preventing any harm done to me. Safety switches should be tested every 6 months. And when you look at a safety switch, it has a T push button on the top of it. Pushing that test button will trip the safety switch straight away, and that just ensures that the internal mechanisms of the unit are always staying operational. It's important that a licensed electrician does a regular safety switch check. We bring out a unit and we plug it into the RCD or the safety switch, and we want to measure the trip rate of the RCD, ensuring that it stays under 0.3 of a second. When upgrading your switchboard, it is recommended that you use RCBOs, and they are RCDs and circuit breakers in one. So it ensures to protect your home from overload protection, short circuit protection, and earth leakage protection. An RCBO is the way to go. Now we are on number 3, which is earthing. In the earlier days, the homes would usually have their house earthed through the main copper water pipes coming into their house. Now, wiring rules have definitely been updated since then. We want to make sure that our earthing for our house is kept under 0.5 of an ohm, which is half an ohm. When we go to upgrade an earthing system for our house, we install a 1.6 meter copper earth rod into the ground. We hammer it into the ground. We have to make sure that 1.2 of the 1.6 meters is in the ground as a minimum, ensuring that it's getting the best potential out of the earth rod. We run a 6mm cable from the earth rod to the water pipe, the copper water pipe. That's called an equipotential bond. And then from the water pipe, we run it to the switchboard, making sure the rest of the circuits in the switchboard are safely earthed. A big part of earthing is the labeling. So after we do the earthing installation, we have to make sure the switchboard shows very clearly where the main earth is located. When it comes to the earth rod that's installed in the ground, that also has to be clearly labeled with its own specific tag. And of course, the right sized earth clamp has to be holding the connection between the wiring and the earth rod as well. If your switchboard is a metal enclosure, which a lot of them these days are, majority of them are, your switchboard has to be earthed with the same size cable going down to the earth rod. Ensuring that your property is properly earthed, it prevents any sort of zaps and tingles from any metallic fixings around your house. And of course, it keeps all your protection devices in your switchboard working to their potential. Surge protectors. Surge protectors in your property are usually overlooked and undervalued. The surge protector gets installed in your switchboard, and it prevents any sort of electronics throughout your house getting fried in a moment of a surge. A surge is usually a massive spike in electricity that usually occurs from thunderstorms or power outages when they turn the power back on, or if you have a faulty appliance through the house, it draws a bit more electricity than it should and it will just fry electronics. When an excess amount of power comes through the lines when it shouldn't, it will run the risk of frying electronics. And these are things like TVs, fridges, air conditioning units, security camera systems, microwaves, ovens, very sporadically. And when an electronic does get fried, it just needs to be replaced, which of course is going to be very, very costly. This can be prevented easily with installing a surge protector in your switchboard. If a surge in electricity comes to your property, it gets stopped at the switchboard with the surge protector, and that will take the hit rather than any of your electronics around your house taking the hit and then being replaced. If you do have a surge protector installed in your switchboard and a surge does hit your house, when the surge protector gets hit, all that needs to be done is the cartridge just needs to be replaced. Call your local electrician, get the cartridge pulled out, put a new one in. Very simple, very easy, not expensive fix at all. It's going to be a lot more cost effective to install a surge protector in your switchboard than it is to replace any sort of appliance or electronic in your house. Just a useful hint, guys, each phase that comes through your property, whether you have single phase or three phase, needs its own surge protector. So let's say you have three phases to your property, there has to be a surge protector for each phase that comes in. In summary, surge protection in your switchboard is the best form of defense for your electronics and appliances around your house if any form of lightning, thunder strikes, weather, or electrical surges happen. We are on number 5. We're going to be talking about labeling. At Oztech Sparks Electrical, we are proud of our standards and we've seen it all, and a pet hate of ours is incorrect or poor labeling in switchboards. Each circuit in your switchboard needs to be correctly labeled, whether it's a power circuit, a lighting circuit, an air conditioning circuit, or a stove circuit. Every circuit has to be labeled correctly, referencing to what that circuit is taking care of. For example, if we're going to be working on a light circuit and we're installing new lights or new switches in a house, we're going to go to the switchboard and just flick off the circuit that says lights. That ensures to the customer that we're not coming in the way of them using power at the house at that time. So if in the switchboard all the circuits were labeled power, to us we're just going to be guessing which circuit is the one that's taking care of the lights. And it's just poor effort, it's poor workmanship whenever you see things like that. So correct labeling in a switchboard is a must. The one thing you want to avoid as being the occupier of the property or being the electrician going to the property to do some work is going to the switchboard, flicking off a circuit and find that it's the wrong circuit that's being flicked off for the work that needs to be done. When you're doing work on a commercial property, let's say if it was an office fit out, if you're going to be adding extra power points on an existing circuit, you'd go back to the switchboard, open up the switchboard and grab the switchboard schedule. You'd see the circuit that you've tapped into, and you'd also write down after that what extra power points or points had been added on that circuit. So there's always a clear idea of if a circuit had been switched off, what points had been switched off with it. Just a useful hint for you guys, circuits cannot be mixed in a house or a commercial space. So if you're going to be installing power points in your property, the electrician is not going to be installing those power points on a lighting circuit, and vice versa. If they're going to be installing lights in your house or your office, they're not going to be installing it on a power circuit. They shouldn't. And if a person was to run a new circuit for a stove or a hot water, it should be dedicated just for that unit. Make sure you keep that in mind. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I hope this added value in understanding electrical just that extra bit more. If you did want to know any more information, make sure you reach out to us on our Facebook, Instagram, website, or on our number at 1300 Oztech. There is still a lot more things that have to be known about electrical, especially around electrical safety. And if you did want any sort of safety inspection done for your house, give us a call.